Hello everybody, welcome back to my legendary Macedon campaign. This is part 15, where we left off at the end of the last video. Was right before a battle with Trapezos. I had declared war on them, conquered one of their settlements, and now they have moved 2 armies in to attack me at the settlement I had just taken from them. So we're going to fight that battle right now. We see that the garrison is heavily depleted. That would be all the troops that have less, or all the units that have less than 5% of their troop numbers in them. So they're not going to prove very useful. We can see the Trapezo army is right there to, I guess, what would be the west of the settlement. I'm not really certain. And now what I do in these instances where I have a garrison that's been mostly depleted and or destroyed is I will position them all near each other and make a formation group out of them. And since it's a garrison and I don't care if I lose it and they don't have enough numbers to really be useful, I don't care if they die. So what I will typically do is parade them around the battle map and hope that I can bait some of the AI units into chasing them. And again, as I've said in other videos, you don't have to have the world's greatest units to be effective. As long as you can use them to take an enemy unit out of the fight, that's pretty good. So I'm going to deploy my strongest units, and I define strongest as being the units that have the highest number of troops. What I'm doing here is I'm kind of dragging my somewhat depleted units to the right hand side of the unit bar, or whatever you call it. There's my little one in the background. There's no way I'll be able to filter that out. So I'm taking my strongest hoplite units and I'm positioning them in deep columns so that I can move them out quickly to confront the Trapezo force. If you recall, they will have a reinforcing army move in. So my plan is to defeat that deployed army of theirs as quick as possible and then move back into the settlement and fight off their reinforcements at the choke points. We'll see how well that works. Some of my non-garrison units have suffered pretty heavy casualties from the previous battle. The unit of axe throwers and a couple units of the cavalry are fairly depleted. Now, as I have been placing points in the stalwart defenders with this army, I have some deployables that I get to put down, and I'm going to basically use them to slow down the reinforcing army, or not necessarily slow it down because I don't even know where it's going to enter the field, but I'm going to place them in positions around the central capture point there, because I'm not going to send all of my forces out to deal with the main force that they're deploying. I'm going to take my mostly depleted units and I'm going to leave them in the settlement near the capture point. So I've started the battle and I've taken the garrison control group and just kind of moved it out of the city in no particular manner. I'm moving my hoplite units forward and I'm moving my cavalry out into the side as a flank. I'm panning the battlefield. I'm looking for their reinforcements. I don't see them yet. So I'm going to position my 2 cavalry units that have the most numbers out in the front. Now I'm giving a charge order to my hoplite group and then going through and refining each of their individual orders, turning skirmisher mode off from my missile units and being patient with my cavalry. I want to make sure their melee units are nice and engaged, and there in the back corner we see the reinforcements coming on. So I've sent that weakened garrison control group towards their reinforcing army. Like I said, I want to use it to bait Here comes my cavalry right into what looks like their general and some of their missile units. And of course my general is moving forward. Now they have some missile cavalry, it would seem, in that reinforcing army. Actually, the AI is using a fair amount of missile cavalry in my campaigns. I don't know if that's par for the course for everybody. Maybe it's due to improvements made by Creative Assembly. Maybe it's due to my mod. I used my general to morale debuff one of their units, and now I'm charging them in the rear with my general right into their big melee clump there. I guess the common nomenclature for that would be a blob. I'm disengaging my cavalry. Again, not really having any trouble pulling my cavalry out, despite people making reports to the contrary on Reddit and the official forums and Total War Center. I think I sent my cavalry back in. Yep, I disengaged my cavalry and I charged them back in. We see there that the AI units, with no modifications to their morale or anything like that, are holding up pretty strong in the center, at least right up until their friends all collapsed right behind them. So again, as I said, morale plays a big part in the battles. Now I haven't forgot about the reinforcements. I'm going to go light my fire pits with those two hoplite units, and I'm going to send the depleted garrison units towards the enemy reinforcements and try to lure them away. So my cavalry units so far in this battle have had a few casualties. They're somewhat more depleted than they were. And I'm now moving my hoplite units towards the capture point in the city. So it doesn't look like my garrison guys are going to be fast enough to make proper bait and lure away the AI. The AI is pretty strongly heading straight towards the settlement's capture point. I'm moving my cavalry out to the side. My intention is to, there we see the enemy general's dead. I'm intending to run my cavalry around the back of their force there and perform a rear charge. I used the rapid march, or whatever they call it in this game, on those two units to get them moving a little quicker, but it looks like one of them is taking a beating and not going to make it. And there's some other AI unit way in the back there, not sure who that is. And right as I go to see who it is, it fades out of existence. So the AI now is running through my little fire pits there. It's a javelin men, that's who's in the back. Now I'm taking those front two hoplite units and I'm forming a defensive wall, or a hoplite wall, I guess is what it's really called in the game. Now the AI is sending some units to deal with my reinforcing cavalry. So again, this is all patch 8. This is patch 8. This is all contradictory to people claiming that the AI is completely brain dead and doesn't react to anything the player does. I'm not even sure that those people who say that honestly even play the game. I think they just read it and then repeat it. I'm not saying the AI is brilliant, but it's certainly better than a lot of people, I think, would make it out to be. So we see my cavalry has overran whatever unit it was I told them to charge in the back, or they're engaged with it. And One unit of cavalry has wavered. That's 2 units. I've only got 2 units of cavalry left. Most of the time in this game, when your units waver, they don't get completely wiped out, but sometimes they do. Now I'm working on crushing that unit of javelin men way in the back. You see the AI somehow, where did this unit come from? They somehow got a unit into a flanking position on me. They must have come down that side street there. But that then allows me to flank them because I had a unit in reserve. And now I can take everything in the backfield and start sending it into the back of their lines. So here we see a very messy battle, a melee battle. There we go, that unit has fled, the one that flanked me that I counter-flanked. So now I can bring 2 units to bear, full strength on the combat. I'm using the magic abilities on my general because it would be kind of silly to not use them. And the ones I used specifically were the little crow's head or the bird head that reduces morale, and then the one that kind of looks like a flag or whatever it looks like. It refreshes a unit's fatigue so that they are no longer fatigued. That's very powerful after an extended bout of fighting like I just had here. And then a massive rout. So I lost a fair chunk of my troops and maybe a unit or 2, but the benefit to this battle is that I won, and that Trapezos has probably lost almost everything, and only has, so I didn't lose any units. That's good. So what Trapezos has left in the world is, looks like a navy and 2 small armies. And they attacked me on their turn, so now we are here at the beginning of my turn. And I'm just taking a look at the secondary objectives, see if there's anything worthwhile there. I am also taking a look at my taxes and trade panel and province status to see which provinces are unhappy and how long it's going to take for them to reach rebellion. Here we see I have some Pontus rebels at Sinope. And I finished building the farm building there. And I intend to upgrade it to a meadow at some point. Now I'm zooming in on the overview map to get a feel for my enemies and where their troops are positioned. You can see them there, the red icons. And as we see, Rhodos has taken that settlement of Ephesus, and I have a nearby army in the province of Asia. And Chimeria has some fleets and quite a few settlements of their own. And I'm looking here at the workshop building chain to see which path I want to go down, what paths I need to go down to get the units and things that I want later in the game. I definitely want to be able to recruit elite infantry, cavalry, and siege engines, and then I also want the things that are equivalent to like a blacksmith or armor smith that make their armor and weapons and missile weapons more effective. You want to stack those provinces or those bonuses as much as possible in your military province. And so there are the Trapezos armies that I have just fought or defended from. And there is a Pontus rebel army nearby that I have to deal with.
At your command.
So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my army that didn't fight, that is fully replenished at full strength, and I'm going to merge some of the weaker troops, the weaker units, out of my one army. I'm going to merge the stronger units into that one army. So now the army that's somewhat depleted, I'm going to use to deal with the rebels. Of course, I'm not going to be able to reach them on this turn. I'll have to deal with them on the next one. But I can put the army in a marching stance and put them inside the settlement. That should deter the AI from attacking it at all. And now this army that I have just moved some troops into is at a full stack of 20 and at full strength, so it's in very good position to push forward and attack Trapezos.
March.
And it looks like it doesn't quite have the movement to make it where it needs to.
At your command.
So I decided to move it back into the settlement.
Ready for
In case they try to attack me, then I will have a garrison to back me up. And I'm going to take this army here, and I'm going to recapture Ephesus. And you see that they have all javelin men and poor quality mob units. So for me to fight this battle will be very easy. So here we go. This is an offensive siege battle against a settlement that has walls. Again, this is still patch 8. This is not patch 8.1. So what I'm going to do in this battle is I'm going to take my units that are pushing the ladders and I'm going to position them as such that they can each move forward to a different section of wall and try to take the walls first. And I'm going to take my hoplite units that are left and create what's basically a gate burning force, so that once I've taken the walls and burned the gate, I can descend from the walls and attack the AI from 2 different angles. And of course I need to be careful if the AI has burning oil if the AI has burning oil, you don't want to go through the gate entryway until you've neutralized it, which is to say taken that little red gate icon and made it a white icon. You'll see that later. So I'm giving my ladder units individual walking orders and then pressing the spacebar to see which sections of the wall they're going to take, and telling all of my other units to move forward. And we see there the gatehouse from the tooltip has oil. So after I burn it open, I definitely don't want to go running through the gate immediately. I'll take a high number of casualties if I do that. Now, when you position your troops to burn the gate, you want to get them all pretty much as close as possible to it. So that's what I'm doing here. And you can see what happens when you get them really close to the gate. Almost every member of the unit throws a torch. You'll burn it down much faster that way and take fewer casualties. And as those guys are hoplites, they're fairly heavy armored, so they're going to take few casualties in the process. And there we see some of the AI units on the other side of the wall. So here go my guys up the ladders. Let's see how well they do. Again, patch 8, not 8.1. And now I'm moving some missile units over by the ladders, because I'm intending to move the missile units up the ladders next, so that they can rain fire from above. So now I need to neutralize that gate and take away the ability for it to use burning oil. And the way I've done that, I think I already gave the order. I told that nearest unit of hoplites, or I'm about to tell it, to go stand right above the gate door. And you can see there the little red icon that indicates who owns the gate is decreasing. And once it's completely white, that means that neither side holds the gate and that the burning oil will not work. Now we see that unit there has bugged out and decided they're no longer going to push the ladder. And I think right about at this point is where some people throw their hands up in the air and say, oh my god, the game's broken and unplayable. But I shall push onward. It's a minor setback. It's not the end of the world. And that unit there is being a little difficult in moving up the ladder, but I think it will eventually go up. Yes, there they go. So now I'm selecting those missile units and giving them movement orders up onto the wall, hoping that the AI will recognize the ladders as a pathway and use them. But as we see there, those guys decide, no, we're going to start heading into the settlement instead. So I need to select them all and move them back. So it's time to give up on that unit over there off by itself. It's just not going to do what we're hoping. And it's time to start sending my hoplites through the broken gate. And now I can start positioning these hoplite units that are inside the settlement to attack the javelin men, or whatever they are, from behind. Actually, it looks like I'm going to send them to the enemy general. And I'm telling these guys now to descend from the ladder. There we go, the slingers being difficult again, kind of deciding to do their own thing. And now that my melee units are firmly planted underneath the gate, I can take the hoplite unit that's on top of the wall and move them into the settlement. And I still have all these guys out here that I haven't even brought up. There we see that my hoplite unit is in the process of breaking the enemy general. And we see some more javelin men further back in the settlement. And one of my slinger units looks like it's going to rout and flee the field. But that's not going to matter much. The enemy general is routed. It's time to bring my cavalry through the gate. I've taken casualties in one slinger unit and two hoplite units. One of them is actually getting banged up pretty bad now by javelin men. You can see the unit strength down in the low red. So those javelin men are pretty dangerous if they're throwing their missiles into your flank or rear. We've seen that a few times in this series. So now I'm selecting all my weakened units and sending them off into the corner of the settlement so that they don't take any more casualties.
Yes, Commander.
And as my cavalry and infantry come closer, it's going to be a real quick fight. Here comes the cavalry to pretty much crush whatever is left. So much fun. And now I'm selecting both cavalry units and I'm having them actually run through the missile units that are out in front for the AI, and I'm having the cavalry basically just charge through everything to get to the missile units in the back. So there we go, the AI looks like they're down to 2 units. And I have recaptured Ephesus and destroyed the naval fleet that Rhodos had. So now they're down to a standing army and a few agents. Now, excuse me, the best possible scenario would be for Rhodos to take that army and attack me on the next turn. That would be the ideal situation, because I would be able to defend from within the walls and pretty much destroy their forces, but I highly doubt that they will do that while I'm in the settlement. And we see that if I capture Rhodes, that'll complete the province of Asia, which is one of my secondary objectives. I said earlier in one of the very first videos that the financial incentive from the secondary objectives is not that big to make them a huge priority, but this is a case in the campaign where it is lining up nicely. I'm already at war with Rhodos, and if I take that settlement and defeat them, I will complete Asia, and that's exactly what the secondary objective is asking me to do. So now here I'm going to move some of my agents onto the Rhodos Island to start hassling their agents.
What do you wish of me? As you command, you can disembark him. Observing the enemy, they will never see me.
We hunger for battle.
And we see that I can recruit a few more of each type of agent. So we see if I recruit just 2 more units, I will fulfill the primary objective, but I really want to capture Rhodos before I do that. And I'm going to sabotage the Pontus rebels, hopefully diminishing their movement so that they stay pretty much where they are, and also gain a little bit of EXP in the process.
How can I be of assistance?
And so we see I bump up the taxes just a notch earlier at the beginning of this turn. I don't think I had any provinces that were extremely close to rebellion, so I can afford to take a increased public order hit from higher taxes, and that will give me a few extra 100 at the beginning of my next turn. And we see Cameria there's got a nice little territory they've been carving out for themselves. 3 settlements there and a few more to the right somewhere. Now, just as I was hoping, here comes Rhodos. He's going to move his army towards me. And it looks like we're coming up here on the end of this video, so I will see you in the next one.